All right, everyone, welcome back to the Dungeon of Doom podcast. You got myself, Ben Raven, joined by Corey Woods.
What up, dude?
That's right. Welcome to the new world on the Dungeon of Doom. Thank you guys for checking out the first episode. We are back with a subtext mailbag podcast here this week. As we've previously noted, you can find the subtext sign up in any of our stories on MLive.com/lines. You can text with myself and Corey Woods here. We'll get back to you. That's also where we farm all these questions for these subtext mailbags. So thanks to everyone for signing up for that program. And thanks for all the great questions again this week. You know, the Lions are 8-1. Yeah, that's right. What is it?
Time since 1954.
That's right, the 1954 season. I remember it well. No, no, but 8-1, facing a struggling Jaguars team that is without its starting quarterback. And man, the Lions are 13.5-point favorites for this game.
That's pretty large.
Pretty large for an NFL game, especially considering that the point total is like 47 points. So that is the world thinking the Lions are about to whack some stuff.
I mean, hey, they say any given Sunday, but I mean, by all accounts, this should not be a game that should be close. This should be one of those games where Lions go out, assert their dominance at home, and then for the game that Jared Goff had last week, this could probably be a bounce back game because Jared Goff has only had 2 games in his career where he's thrown at least 4 picks, and we saw the other one on Sunday. So this should be a bounce back game for Jared Goff. So I believe it's going to be should be a Lions W, but again, anything can happen.
No, anything can happen, and I know people are comparing this to the Titans game, and that is fair, but this Jaguars team has a lot more talent right now than that Titans team. But Trevor Lawrence is out. It's going to be Mac Jones. I think the Jaguars had 143 or 146 total yards of offense against the Vikings last week. And it'll be Mac Jones under center here and back in Detroit for the first time in what feels like 2 months on Sunday afternoon. The last 1 p.m. home game of the season outside of that TBD Week 18 game against the Vikings. And we don't count Thanksgiving. That doesn't count. That's us losing Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I believe Jones had like 111 yards and 2 picks.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and they were back at full strength in the backfield too. ETN and Bigsby were back there. I know they just shipped out Cam Robinson. The offensive line has remained a work in progress under Trent Baalke, but they got some problems on the offense side of the ball. But we're going to get into these questions right here. We're going to start because I guess it's technically middle of the season-ish.
Yeah.
9 games down, 8 games to go. We're at the halfway point. Who is your midseason MVP for the Lions on the offensive and defensive side of the ball? That question comes from David Qualls. Why don't you lead us off, Corey?
Ooh, that is a real good one. I believe, up until Sunday, I probably would have said Jared Goff. I don't want to totally throw him out to the wolves yet, but the guy that I'm going to go with is going to be somebody that Louis Riddick told me that could be a future NFL MVP. And I got to go with Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yep.
We all know what David Montgomery is and what he's been to this run game. I mean, I guess you can say he's the knuckles of the tandem. But just in recent weeks, Jahmyr Gibbs has really stepped up his game, even more than it already has. And he's shown to be that explosive player of why the Lions went ahead and made the move to go and grab him as early as they did. I mean, some people were mad, like, oh, they could have got Bijan Robinson. Right now, you're seeing that this guy is a total game changer. And what really sold it to me was, I believe it was against the Titans, if I'm not mistaken. It was that run return, that 70-yard.
Yeah.
When he turned that corner, I'm like, okay, this guy is a true game breaker. Yeah. Like he's a problem on the field. So that would be my MVP because he can do pretty much all of it. When you go to the defensive side of the ball, I was going to cop out and name 2 players, but I'll just go ahead and go with a guy. I'm gonna cop out. I'm gonna do 2 players. I'm gonna do Brian Branch because right now, if you look at him, the way he's been playing he's been playing like a top 15, 20 player in NFL. And just the way that it's not even an interception, just the way he's been able to be in coverage and in his packages. He's a force to be reckoned with out on the field. And another guy that some Lions fans were down on when they took him is Jack Campbell.
Nice. Yeah.
He has just really stepped up his game this season. And what more can you say about him?
No, for sure. I like both those answers. I'm glad we're going to be different because that makes for good podcasting. But offensive side of the ball, I'm going with Penei Sewell. Man, he's a freak of freaking nature in the run game, in the pass game. That screenplay last week against the Texans, man, he hits 2 guys downfield. He's in lockstep with his running back downfield. You can do anything through this guy. I think he is the game's best offensive tackle.
Yeah.
He's can he even rent a car yet? I don't think he can even rent a car yet, which is just crazy because it feels like I've been covering him for like 6 years already. But my offensive MVP is Penei Sewell. That's no shot at Gibbs or Monty. That's no shot at Goff. Take away Goff's 5 interceptions last week, and my answer is still Penei Sewell. I just think he is the blood force, the DNA of this offense. Absolutely. They can do anything with him, man. You see him downfield. You see him moving bodies on the line. He is so much better than I think people on the outside looking and give him credit for. I love to see people like Mina Kimes and there's more people than me out there saying this guy needs offensive player of the year votes. So for me, he hits my midseason offensive MVP. On the defensive side of the ball, this is the last time we're going to be able to give him an award like this. I'm going to give it up to Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. Still leads the team in pressures, still leads the team in sacks. He's still PFF's top graded edge defender. He's still up there in terms of pressure. Like I wrote on Trayvon Walker this morning, having a good season. Yeah. He's a growing player. He has 7.5 sacks. He has 35 pressures. He's got 12 less pressures than Hutchinson in 5 more games, and they have the same amount of sack total. Hutchinson, this is the last time you can say it because Branch moving forward is the dude on that defense. I also love Jack Campbell, but like I got to give Hutch some love for his 5.5 games that he played here. He was the best defensive player on the planet while he was on the field for the Lions this year.
And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I believe when I was checking, the top leaders in sacks last week, he's still up there.
It's wild, man. He is. He's up there. I mean, he's up there in pressures. He's up there in sacks. He hasn't played since Dallas, which was nearly a month ago. So
that's nuts.
I got to give him some love on that one. Let's get into the next question here. We got Craig Albright from Washington, D.C. Stick with me on here. He says, I tend to think the Houston game wasn't a fluke, but a symptom of a problem. It's easy to say the offense is amazing with all the weapons. Ben Johnson's a genius, and when push comes to shove, it always will be. But they haven't looked themselves the last 3 games. The pass rush has struggled, and stopping the Lions' run is looking like it makes their system go a little haywire. I freely admit I'm a 50-year Lions fan, so I can't shake the lifetime fear of the bottom falling out. But seriously, when you take an honest, critical look at the last 3 games, is the offense showing some cracks? I'll start off with this one. Yeah, they're showing a little cracks, but nothing that I'm concerned about. Taylor Decker suffered a Thursday or late Wednesday injury in practice last week, so the Lions didn't even have enough time to get Penei back on the left side, to get Dan Skipper working on the right side. Skipper, for as many snaps as he's played for these Lions, that was his first NFL start at tackle. He started at left tackle against a very good Texans team, a very well-coached defensive team in Houston. So, yeah, there's some cracks there, but, like, man, Monty and Gibbs, even when they get bottled up a little bit in the run game, they both made massive game-swinging plays in the receiving option of this of everything going on. It was Jameson Williams' first game back. He missed 2 of those 3 games there, and I don't count the Titans game as an offensive struggle. That was a weird game flow. It was a big red zone drill, as Amon-Ra St. Brown told me a couple of weeks ago, and they did what they needed to do. Now, last week, I don't like to use the word fluky. I don't like to bail out somebody for throwing 5 interceptions, but this is the one case where you can bail them out. I mean, the pass protection in the first half was terrible. Taylor Decker was sitting at home saying, this loss is on me right now. Like, he's like, that's not a shot at anyone, but like my injury in the week and not being able to play put them in a tough spot. So I'm not there yet. You have full, Craig, you can feel any type of way you want to feel. 50 years as a Lions fan, you've earned that feeling. I'm telling you right now, they're going to be all right. I am taking a critical look. They'll be fine. The pieces are back. J-Mo's back. Decker sounds like he might play this weekend. Laporta's the big question mark, but no medium or long-term concerns about that offense.
I mean, when you look at the Titans game, though, and I want to be careful on how I say this, the offense basically had the day off. Mm-hmm. It was basically just like you said, red zone practice. Okay, we're right there. They didn't really get a chance to work out anything. I believe that's what Ben Johnson said, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
When you go to the Packers game, okay, it was the conditions. Lambeau Field is always a tough place to play at. So, that's a division game, division heavyweight. So that's always going to be a tough game in general for both teams. But then when you go to the Texans game, I would say that is the one game where I would say they maybe showed a little bit of crack because it kind of reminded me of the Buccaneers game when the Lions have gone to get some tough defenses. Yeah. Things get a little bit kind of crazy on that side. So, but again, to give them credit, to have Goff throw 5 picks and they still found a way to win, that to me showed like, okay, they still learned from that Buccaneers game. Like, even if we're going against a tough defense, as long as we just gives ourselves a chance late in the end, we can go ahead and pull it out. What they did to the Texans was they drug them into the deep waters and drowned them. So I would say the cracks are they need to figure out a way to play better when they go against these top tier defenses. That's going to be the struggle for them.
No doubt. And I will just say, I mean, when they needed to get in field goal position, they still converted on a big third down. They still were able to kind of wind that clock down. And that's just sequential play calling, man. Ben Johnson's a master at that. And I understand what you're saying there, but like, they'll be all right. You know, I think losing Decker was big last week. And I think when you take JMO out of this offense, it changes the way defenses can play. Absolutely. You can get more up in the box. You don't have to worry about someone streaking past you in a hurry downfield. I mean, that's a big thing. Next 2 questions, going to kind of combine them. Kip Mann and Warren Fulton. Carlton Davis' performance has been eye-opening. Seems he may have played his way to a bigger bag than what the Lions can afford. If he is not here next year, who can take his place? And then Warren asks, is an extension in Carlton Davis' future? Corey, I'll let you take the lead on this one. Just what do you think about Davis recently?
Hey, this is the guy that they brought him here. I'm gonna be honest, I was a little bit skeptical. I was like, okay, he's not bad, but he's getting up a little bit in there, has some knick-knack injuries here and there. Can he be the guy long term? So far, I mean, you got it. I don't know about extensions. That's above my pay grade, but I believe he's a guy that you definitely need to keep here long term because, like he said in his post game speech, he's going out there and giving everything that he has. When that Texas game was looking pretty like it's about to go a really, really south. He opened up that second half with that pick, and then he got another one later on that was really timely. And just overall, besides that game, he's just been playing timely coverage throughout the whole year and helping out that CB room. So I believe that he is a guy that they probably need to figure out a way to keep. I know they have some young corners in wait, and they have some guys coming back, but this is a guy you got to figure out how to keep around, especially if this play stays the same and it gets even better.
Yeah, no, and Dan Campbell told a nice little story last Saturday in their special teams meeting. He like came up behind Davis and was like, yo, getting you is one of the best acquisitions we've ever made. And those 2 interceptions, that came before those 2 interceptions, man. He is a fit. The way he plays the run, the way he leads those young guys, he's a very cerebral type guy. Like, he is a smart cornerback. He's tall, he's lanky, he plays the position the way Aaron Glenn wants guys to play. And I just think he has been a godsend for this defense the last 5-6 weeks, especially last week. But like, man, when you got young guys like Arnold and Rakestraw, and you got some unproven guys that haven't played a ton of snaps, that's the type of guy you want at the top of your room. And I haven't been as down on Arnold as Twitter has been. I know the penalties are frustrating. He's a rookie cornerback. Look back to Darius Slay's rookie season. Look back to – you can't just expect Sauce Gardner out of the gates. There's not too many of those guys. And I'm not saying Arnold can't get to that level, but, like, he's learning the position on the fly. This is you're playing a lot of press coverage. There's a lot more zone coverage this year to kind of mask for the pass rush issues. So I just think Davis has been the right type of dude for that defense. And in terms of an extension, man, it's tricky. It's tricky. They've paid a lot of their own guys, but – man, if you can figure out a friendly deal, 2 years, he's a vet. He's not a superstar corner, so he's not going to break your market. And I think just based on Davis in the locker room, based on Davis after games, I think he wants to be here. And you're seeing the power of Aaron Glenn. You're seeing the power of Dan Campbell there. It is. I didn't think he'd be around just because it hadn't got done yet. They didn't do it when they traded for him. I was like, all right, this is a 1-year rental as the young pups figure their stuff out. But I do think that, like, now, if he continues to play this way, it's going to get more expensive. He's later in his career. He's trying to get the biggest bag he can, and you can't argue that. But I do think if you can get a good enough contract, play for a team like this, man, why would you not want to be here?
I mean, if you just – I know everybody can't go inside that Lions locker room like we are, but you see a real camaraderie with everybody. They just enjoy being around each other. And – just from when you hear guys talk about it, they have not experienced this in some of their other spots. Some of the newcomers have said that. So I believe that if things continue to trend the way that they are right now, they'll be able to figure something out for them. And I mean, it'll just be good because right now, even with Darius Smith, the way he's come in already has been coaching those young guys. You need to keep some of these veterans around to aid in the development of this young core.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll here we go from Joseph Martin. Looking at the records, Detroit fans obviously hoping to see an absolute shellacking of the Jags this Sunday. Jags have lost a lot of close ones, though. Are they better than the record suggests? That's a tough one for me. They got the league's worst pass defense by net yards allowed. I think their offensive showing last week was one of the bottom 10 offensive showings in like NFL history in the Super Bowl era, and they don't have Trevor Lawrence right now. I mean, I tap into Jags Twitter a little bit, and Duval don't seem too happy about Doug Peterson right now. They seem even more on the fence about Balky than possible. Man, this should be a shellacking this weekend. It should have been a shellacking if Trevor was even under quarterback, which he is not. I'm sorry, but Mac Jones and their banged up offensive weapons, there's no Christian Kirk. I know Brian Thomas Jr. has been working through some stuff. They're not going to be able to run the ball in the Lions, so Mac Jones is going to have to beat them, and that's just not going to happen.
I want to say this. A 2-touchdown win is a shellacking in my book in the NFL.
Yes, absolutely.
That is what this is going to be. At least I believe the Lions are going to go somewhere. If I had to pick a score, I'll say 28-14, 28-7. I wouldn't go anything past that, but I just don't see the Lions at home in what is now one of the toughest places to play in the NFL, coming off of the game that they had against the Texans, and not just want to go ahead and let the league know, like, hey, that was just a aberration. We got everything under control. So I believe it's going to be 28-14. It's going to be a 2-touchdown game.
I like that. I just gave Nolan Bianchi my prediction, so I'll give it to you here. I like having someone to do a score prediction with me. Kyle shot away from score predictions. I'm going a little more. I'm going 31-6 Lions. I do not think the Jaguars score a touchdown. They didn't got it. They don't got it in them this year. They're going to the top of the draft again. They got some good pieces on defense. They're good against the run, but like, man, you got Mac Jones at quarterback. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Jaguars.
Out on Mac.
No, I'm out on Mac, man. I'm out on Mac. I'm out on Mac, and that's it. It's not good. It's not going to be good for them. Patrick Johnson wants to know, is Barnes out for the year? Any chance he returns for the playoffs? Got to talk to Derek Barnes in the locker room yesterday. Great to see him. He's a great dude, great football player. Always been great with the media. It's to be determined right now. He's just off of crutches, just out of the brace, just got back to Allen Park on Tuesday. And when asked if he's ahead of schedule, he says, I'm going to be. So he's not there yet. He was shocked he was able to ride a bike as long as he did. He was shocked he was able to swim walk, I think he called it. So I don't know, man. They would obviously take him, but like, I think he told Dave Burkett that he had MCL and PCL injuries. The ACL was intact. That's a lot to come back from. We'll see. He wouldn't rule it out. He wants to be back, obviously, but there's a long way to go.
I noticed when he first got injured, his Instagram, he had something in the caption. I'm just paraphrasing. It said, "See you in 2025."
Yeah, I think
now that could mean next season. That could mean the playoffs.
Yeah.
You never really know. But one thing that I do like about Derek Barnes, like you said, a part of him being a good guy was last season. He said that he was redeveloping himself to his game and his workout and his regimen, and then you saw the play.
Yeah.
Of that followed from throughout that last season and throughout the better half before he got injured. So if there's one guy that I'm not gonna count out to at least come back, along with Hutchinson, who's trying to do something miraculous,
both of them,
I wouldn't count out Derek Barnes either. He just has a will about him that I believe he's going to put in the work to at least be ready by the playoffs. Whether that happens or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, and he said him and Hutch are in that training room working together. Hutch is giving him crap, and he didn't even say hi to me, just started giving me crap. So those two working together, you can't rule either of those guys out, especially for the playoffs. We'll see, but we got some people that want to know about us, Corey. David Pierce, since it's you and Corey now, hear me out. Dungeon of Legion of Doom podcast where it's football and pro wrestling. Who says no? Who says no, Corey? You know who says no. MLive says no.
I said job.
Yeah, exactly. Same question. Appreciate that. We are two wrestling guys. Cameron Jones, very surreal feeling that many of us have not experienced in all the years, but it's hard not to think of a question with the Jags on tech. So what are your thoughts on Tyson getting in the ring tomorrow? And with Kyle gone, let's hear about you two. Mike Tyson, back in the ring tomorrow. Let's be quick on this one.
I think this is just going to be a circus.
Yes.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. This is gonna be a circus, and I don't know in what direction. So that's my cop out. It's gonna be a circus.
I know. Go Mike Tyson. There's my cop out. And with Kyle God, Corey, give Cameron Jones a brief bio on yourself.
Okay, make it brief. Then jumped back into sports in 2018. Took some time off for about, let's say, from school for a decade. Went back to Eastern Michigan, finished my media studies and journalism degree. Started covering the Lions at the first year of the Patricia era.
That's right.
And I was doing sideline photography. So yeah, I was at that Monday Night Football game when that Sam Darnold threw the pick six on the first play, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And from there, just went from outlet to outlet. And 2022, had to make a switch and thought I was going to be leaving journalism for a little bit. Then I saw the good friend of mine, Lauren Williams,
That's
left
right.
in
Shout out Lauren.
and I was like, oh, okay, congrats, Lauren, she's leaving. Then about 5 minutes later, wait a minute.
That's a job.
Spot's about to be open.
Amen.
So now I'm here covering Lions. We'll remain to see about Pistons. and now I'm here co-hosting with Ben. All of this is still kind of like fast for me right now. So hopefully I made some sense in there. But yeah, that's as much as I can say about me.
You know where I was that Monday Night Football game against the Jets? I was in Windsor, Ontario, pro wrestling, baby. Checked my phone and went, oh, that's not going good, and went back into the ring. But let's get back into good stuff. Brian Sherman, we got a couple questions on these guys. Any timetable for Broderick Martin, Mosley? Mosley to be determined. He's been back in the facility for a while. Had his window open last week with Melifanu. Broderick, I believe, has exited his window and is kind of just practicing as a healthy scratch right now. Aaron Glenn talked about Broderick right now. They're just making sure he's back, full speed and all that. And with Mosley, no timetable, but like he's back at practice, man. I think they listed him and Iffy as full participants yesterday. So like if you give Aaron Glenn more pieces to play around with in the secondary, that's a good thing. I'm not going to sit here and say Mosley or Melifanu will be starting or playing a ton of snaps, but like if all of a sudden you're going from a Meek Robertson to Mosley being a slot rotation and Branch sneaking in there and Melifanu doing the same thing and blitzing on some packages, it's a good thing. I think all three of those guys are nearing the return. The Lions still have an open roster spot, so something's coming.
Yeah.
But they seem to be – Broderick Martin is a project, man. Yeah. They're taking their freaking time with him, and I do not blame them.
And as far as Mosley goes, I just hope he's able to get on the field. This guy has just had some of the most unfortunate luck over the past couple of seasons, even from when he was leaving the 49ers and then coming over here. So hopefully they're able to get him out on the field because when he's healthy, he's proven to be a commodity in the defense. This guy is smart as all heck, and he's going to be a great addition to cover. So hopefully they can get him out on the field this year and he's able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I got a lot of questions about Melifanu and Mosley, and I'll just say Melifanu is going to kind of be like your utility hitter. Yeah. He can play some slot. If you lose a million cornerbacks, he can play cornerback, and I just think he's going to be a nice he could be that Brandon Joseph guy that sees like 8 to 10 snaps. I know they don't want to take away from Joseph's role because they love his growth and development, but Melifanu, man, that dude can blitz. He's got a penchant for making the big plays. There's a spot in this rotation for him if he can get back to health. But Martin, man, take your time with him. You got DJ Reader. You got to leave McNeil. Mekhi Wingo is looking like a dang good rookie that can kick inside and outside. And take your time with Martin, man. I know people want to see him because he was a third-round pick that Brad gave up a lot to get. But, like, Martin and Manu are those developmental guys that they believe in. They're going to take their time. And,
when they come out, we've seen we've seen the Lions develop some guys along the way. Mm-hmm. And I believe when they're ready to get out there, they're going to be great additions for them finally.
We got a couple from our buddy in Escanaba. Hey, Eric, I'll let you lead this one. What are your expectations for Zadarius Smith for a stat line this week?
Ooh. You know what? I believe he does get a sack. Nice. I'm going to go somewhere probably around – let's go somewhere probably like around three tackles and a sack. I just believe that – I don't think he's going to come out, give some Hall of Fame stat line. But
Right.
what I do believe he's going to do is he's going to command a lot of attention. That's going to free up guys like, James Houston, like a Levi to be able to go ahead, like a Pascal to be able to go ahead and get to the quarterback. And then he's a guy you're going to have to account for. So he's not going to be Aiden Hutchinson, but he's going to be a guy that's going to be able to generate some pressure. He's going to be good in the run game and against the rush defense as well. And he's going to be, I think he's going to be solid this week. I would say three tackles and a sack.
Mm-hmm.
I think Dan Campbell said it earlier this week. What he's going to bring may not really be measured up in the stat line. It's going to be how he commands the attention and how he helps everybody else out.
Yeah, no, and man, I just think about those Smith, Pascal, McNeil, and Reeder fronts. I know everybody's thinking about the pass rush, but like Zadarius Smith is a dang good run defender. I think he was playing 35% of like Cleveland's run defense snaps. So this is an all around guy. He is cut from the Marcus Davenport, Josh Pascal light mode of being a powerful, strong guy that can bring something to that run. So stat line, give me 5 pressures for Smith. I think, 3 or 4 tackles, 2 quarterback hits. I'm not going to predict a sack or anything, but I think he makes some noise in that pass rush because he's got a look in his eye. He's a cool dude. You guys, if you haven't seen the video of his first presser, find that on one of your social media apps of choice.
A lot of people have said this, and I try to shy away from buying into it, but he really does give off the Rasheed Wallace vibe.
No, for sure.
Even with the look, when Rasheed first came in, the energy, the way they talk, I'm like, I'm not trying to buy into this, but it's hard to ignore.
No, he was turned up 125% on the volume, and his eyes were wide open, and you could tell he was thrilled to be here. Good Rasheed comp right there. Wily vet trying to help you win a title.
and he's already ingratiated himself into the team's culture, the city's culture already. I mean, as soon as he got here, he's already wearing the BB Double Bird shirt.
Unbelievable.
He went out and copped him a pair of Cartier buffs with the diamonds in it. For people that do not know, that man just came in there and spent about $4 to $5 grand on a pair of glasses to fit Detroit culture. So he's Rasheed Wallace. When he first got here, he was a guy that was all in for the Pistons, and Zadarius Smith gives off that same vibe that he's here, he's all in, team guy. You saw him on the sidelines. Well, with defensive line coach Terrell Williams, you saw him on those sidelines coaching up Pascal and the other guys, and then when Jake Bates hit that walk-off, he was one of the first guys on the field trying to, give him a high five and congratulate him. I mean, you need a guy that's going to be able to be productive on the field, but you also need a good locker room guy. Mm-hmm. And one more thing, when there were rumors of him being traded, like his rumors of his last game of the with the Browns, you saw all of his teammates. They didn't say anything bad about him. It was all glowing remarks about what great of a teammate he is and what he brought to the locker room. So great addition. I believe he's going to do solid stuff this week.
Yeah, and we got to speak with Taylor Decker in the locker room, and this will be part A for Smith, and part B, we got a bunch of questions about who starts at offensive tackle if Decker's unable to go this week. Both Decker and Campbell sound optimistic about Decker playing this week, just to put that out there. But I'll just throw this in real quick. If Decker's out again, I would expect Sewell to be at left tackle, and I would expect either Skipper or Sorsdale. Expect Skipper to be at right tackle. They've had a full week to prepare for that.
Yeah.
We haven't got a look at practice yet this week. It was a walkthrough yesterday, but that would be my answer there. But I am leaning. I think Taylor Decker plays this weekend. He hates missing games, but the reason I bring him up too, nice to get 2 birds stoned at once there, or whatever that saying is. But Decker is like, he knows Zadarius Smith. Smith played a long time for the Packers, played a couple years for the Vikings. He's like, man, I've always liked that guy. He's like, you go up and you talk to him after the game, and he's just a cool dude. Like, he's just a good dude. And I think you're not just adding a pass rusher. You're not just adding an edge defender. You're adding a veteran who knows what it takes to win in December, to win in January, to win in February, all that good stuff. And just glowing reviews from past, former, and future teammates.
And when you have a team last year that was a lot of young guys, and they had some vets but lacked enough of them, now you still have that same team.
Yeah.
And you sprinkle in a couple of more savvy veterans like Carlton Davis, like a Zadarius. now you're putting yourself in position to go ahead and make that real Super Bowl run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's all we got for the mailbag today. Good questions, guys. Nice mix of football and non-football. Corey and I and Kyle Austin will be back at Ford Field this weekend. It's going to be great to be back at Ford Field and in Detroit and sleeping in my own bed and a 1 p.m. start. You know, I love getting up for those primetime games, but they take a little something out of you, man.
Oh, yeah. From that Texans game, when we finished the pod, I went to sleep for like 3 hours and got right back up to get my son ready for daycare.
Yep, exactly.
That was brutal.
Yeah. No, I got back to my hotel room at 3 a.m. The alarm went off at 5:30 a.m. and I was like, well, time to go to work. Well, there you have it. First mailbag with Corey and myself on the Dungeon of Doom. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you for all the great questions on Subtext. 2-week free trial. Always available on that. Any story we write. If you got any questions, send me an email, braven@mlive.com. You can find us on social media. Just search our names. It's Ben Raven and Corey Woods. But what was your score prediction again for the Lions Jaguars?
28-14.
All right, I'm going Lions 31-6. I know everybody's trap game. It's Mac Jones and the Jaguars. It's the league's worst pass defense. The Jaguars have been solid against the run, but man, they got nothing. They won a rock fight with the Vikings last week. Their defense balled out, played one of their best games of the season, and the offense had one of the worst NFL offensive showings in recent history.
I don't think they're going to be able to do too much. Like I said, I think my 14 might have been generous because I think they're coming into a hornet's nest with a team that is just really chomping at the bit to be able to go ahead and then just not blow somebody out the water based off of how close last week's game was.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to see how these teams have gone since 2022 because it was like the Lions were trying to get to where the Jaguars were as that upstart team and stuff like that, and the Lions have lapped them.
Yes, surpassed them.
So yeah, that's all we got for us. Stick with us, mlive.com/Lions. This has been the Dungeon of Doom podcast with Ben Raven and Corey Woods.